Alright, so I'm going to continue off on the minor spoilers review. Obviously, she makes the deal to go to the friendship games and compete there. And of course, at that point, she decides to take Spike with her because, that's probably her only friend. But of course, as we find out, Twilight is basically a whole, is sort of like a Fluttershy from putting her hoof down. At least half the episode. She's a doormat. She is a pushover. She is basically nothing. Although she is a great academic student, she is nothing. Absolutely zero. They all treat her like dirt. But of course, they wind up actually going to, Camelot High, and of course, Twilight decides to investigate the school to see what's going on. While this is going on, Sunset Shimmer is trying to figure out how to, compress their magic so that they don't reveal it off during the friendship games. Which obviously they have a hard time trying to do. But of course, Twilight brings that little magic pendant of hers, which obviously sucks all of their magic. The first being Rarity's. When Twilight winds up visiting the band room, where the main six are, Rarity's magic winds up getting sucked into that little pendant of Twilight's, and Rarity winds up, getting so depressed and not being able to pull off her, magic tricks anymore. And I'm shocked at this. This is really something. But of course, all of her friends wind up confusing this Crystal Prep Twilight for their for this Ponyville Twilight, who's obviously stuck in the Pony Twilight, who's stuck in the Equestria Twilight, not the human world. As, of course, the Crystal Prep principal, who basically winds up ruining everything, winds up taking her back and getting her back in line. But of course, more things starts to go on, as basically her pendant starts to steal Pinkie Pie's magic. But of course, they wind up obviously starting to get into the first round, which is obviously the high school, academics and such, with, Sunset Shimmer and Twilight competing off in what looks like a math equation, with Sunset Shimmer off by 10 points. But of course, after the equation competition, this world's Twilight basically winds up talking to Fluttershy about, some things, as she brings out, this world's Spike, which of course winds up accidentally stealing Fluttershy's magic, and of course, Spike winds up talking. Her principal winds up, going up to her and starts to, cheat a little bit by saying, "Why don't you go and spy on the Camelot High students for me?" And then Twilight is basically just like, that used to be a little cheating. And then basically she's just hammering in, I could basically tear up this little contract of ours for that little college of yours. And then basically she's just like, no, I'll do the spying for you. I'll do the spying. It was like, good. The Equestria Girls Main Six take a chance to get a quick glance at the track field and realize it's been a full-blown Olympics field for no reason or another, as basically Twilight winds up getting assigned to the archery field. As we know, Twilight's no good at archery. As we all know, Twilight is basically like this klutz who basically trips over things, and the Crystal Prep students are basically like, come on, do it! Like, trying to pressure her into doing things, and basically, the Equestria Girls Main Six, like, Equestria Girls Applejack, tries to, give her some inspiration, and basically, the others are just, pressuring her, and basically, trying to do something with her, and basically, obviously, most of the audience is just like, oh, come on, just get out of here, or just be silent! But, of course, her pendant starts to fall apart as random portals starts to jump everywhere, and Everfree Forest plants start to grow all over the place, as Applejack's powers are harvested into the little necklace and fall out of this world's Twilight's grasp. And it's up to Rainbow Dash to, fight off the plan during the, the motorcycle race. Which, of course, she does. Which leads up to the Wondercolts actually winning their first match. But some unfortunate situations start to happen as the pendant starts to suck up Rainbow Dash's powers into it and releases what looks like a moon over their heads. But of course, this gives the principal of Camelot Prep a really, really nasty idea. Which of course leads to Sunset Shimmer giving a force, this really, pummel into reality idea to Twilight, as she really feels bad about herself. Principal Celestia decides to at least hold off the friendship games until this whole situation can be dropped off, but unfortunately, Principal of Crystal Prep does not listen, and decides to let the games continue. But just a mere few hours later, the principal decides to tell Twilight through a Danny Elfman-like song to use their magic to their advantage. And by their magic, I mean Canterlot High's magic, and by to their advantage, to their meaning Crystal Prep's advantage. She complies and nearly turns into a demonic dragon. Almost. When I say almost, she doesn't really turn into a demonic dragon. She basically turns into this crazy maniac who basically has these glowing eyes or whatever and this long as ever horn, which I swear would compete against the alicorns of Equestria, not like this Equestria Girls World, and starts ripping up portals here and there and everywhere throughout the entrance of Camelot High or whatever, and destroys the statue and such, opening up the portals to Equestria and such. It basically leads Crystal Prep Principal to basically say, I'm out of here, and basically decides to hide behind the bleachers and basically do absolutely nothing. Good job! As Sunset Shimmer decides to basically grab the same pendant that Twilight basically gathered all their magic to use, and basically fight against the demonic Twilight of this world. She inherits all of their magic and basically fights off this Twilight and changes everything back to the way it was, with her learning the magic of friendship, and all that good stuff. But after the whole situation blows over, the Crystal Prep Principal basically comes out and says, I will have you brought up to the board and have this school shut down for sure. Oh yeah? And how are you gonna tell the board that one of these students turned into a near-demonic demon, winded up putting portals to another dimension in our world, nearly throwing the world into destruction, has a dog that nearly speaks perfect English, and has students in our place that has magic? So, if you try to tell them this, you're basically going to be thrown in a mental hospital. Deal with it. But of course, deciding that basically most of her students are basically against her rather than with her, she basically winds up being like, screw you guys, I'm a-going home. So all's well that ends well. Twilight decides to basically leave Crystal Prep, and basically decides to stay at Camelot High, and basically say, you know what? That college isn't really worth it. I'd rather have friends than to have none at all. And of course, this world's Twilight winds up becoming friends with the Equestria Girls Main Six. And everyone lives happily ever after, but there's still one question unanswered. What does happen with the other Twilight? Well, it's answered in the next scene. It turns out that Twilight was actually stuck inside the portal and couldn't answer at all. Which basically winds up having Twilight meet the other Twilight, and basically the world doesn't blow up at all. Well, that's the end of that part. Whoever thought that a Jeremy John style reenactment or
a Chester A. Bum reenactment of the whole friendship games probably would have tired you out and then made you think for a few days and, who knows, made you change clothes or grew facial hair. But, nonetheless, my final thoughts at this time on the friendship games. Well, it made me think for a little while. And at this time, here's what I think, at least on this part, or at least let me get this out of the way. A person who I don't want to butcher their name, so I'll just put their name here, told me that there is going to be another Equestria Girls film, so I don't know how this slipped past my mind, so yeah, apologies for that. Now that that's gotten out of the way, let's just continue on with the final thoughts. So, while this film right here is a good time, no alcohol required, you know, it's still watchable and it's got some really good moments despite the faults in this movie. And Rainbow Rocks is basically a well worth it movie with a lot of funny moments and really funny as ever characters, and of course it's the reason I got into cosplaying to begin with. You've probably seen the reason because of the whole 2015 Everfree Northwest vlogs. Heck, at this moment I'm trying to work on my cosplay as of this moment. But with friendship games, there is a few puzzling things with this film. I mean, obviously that principal is like a whole lot of trouble. I mean, you know, the Crystal Prep principal is really hard to deal with. She's just not that real good of a character, unlike Edward R. Rooney from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You just love to hate him. This principal, on the other hand, is just, you know, you just hate to hate her. But basically, at this moment, the positives in this movie are so few that they can't outweigh the many negatives. So, it's back to where this is. The rating of a good time, no alcohol required. And probably the best rating too, because I nearly rated it worth buying on Blu-ray. And probably awesome-tacular. That would have been a nightmare. But now that that's out of the way, so I just want to ask you guys this. What do you think of Equestria Girls' friendship games? Was it the film you expected? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What scenes did you like? What scenes did you hate? Was the principal well worth the adding or the deletion? And was the pony transition to Equestria Girls, or could they made some improvements upon the characterizations? But, of course, it's all up to your opinions, and I would like to hear your thoughts. So until Saturday comes, I'll see you guys. And I don't know how to end this video, so basically, I'm SS, Sammy Summers, and I'll see you guys this Saturday for no new episode. Peace.